What's going on, folks? This is Colion Noir, and thanks for joining me for another episode of Seeing Live today. On the show is going to be former NFL linebacker Edgar Jones, who joins us live. He's more into targets nowadays than tackling, and it's been a week since Prop 63 passed in California, and we'll look at what's been happening at the gun store since then. Also, Jessica Hook checks in. We went shooting together in a new episode of Noir, and there are some wardrobe issues we may get into as well. So, with that being said, let's get right into it. Most people know my first guest from his stellar career in the NFL. Edgar Jones has played a linebacker for the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Browns since retiring from the NFL. And he's had more time to spend hunting and shooting. And what's going on, Edgar?
What's up, Colion, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's been how long has it been since? Because it would have been about a month or so, month or two.
About a month and a half. Let's just meet him. About a month and a half.
Yeah, so but I mean, as far as us actually shooting, it's been a good minute.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
man.
because every time we try to actually make something happen, somebody flakes. But I'm not gonna get into all that, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna call any names. Not at all.
Man, so all right. So lately, I know you haven't been shooting with me, but I know you've been doing some shooting. You actually, I would dare say, you shoot a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
What have you been shooting lately?
What I've been shooting lately, you mean as far as weapons or?
Yeah.
Lately, I've been spending a bunch of time with my Glock, man. My Glock 22, actually. I got a Glock 2240 that I was spending a bunch of time working with. And then I actually converted that over and went to a 9mm. So I took the barrel out. I felt like I abandoned my Glock for a while. I went to my VP9 for a long, extended period of time.
Yeah.
I had to give my Glock back some attention, man.
Why though? What is? I've never really understood it because I go through the same thing sometimes. It's like, what is it about the Glock that constantly always brings us back to it in some sense of, like, I love my VP9, absolutely love it. For whatever reason, It's almost ingrained, as if there's a culture that like you kind of almost have to always be familiar with the Glock to a certain extent, or wound up kind of feeling left out in some way or not, even though the Glock never actually really changes very much. From your experience, like, so what, were you always a Glock guy, or was that something that just kind of came up?
I always was a Glock guy. I got an older cousin that's a state trooper down in Louisiana, so he's, always had Glocks that they carried. Just his personal carry, he always had Glocks. That was actually one of the first handguns that I shot, was a Glock. And then, I'd always been around it. So that was really one of the first handguns I picked up and shot was a Glock. And then that VP9 came through. And when I actually purchased that, dude, I just got away from my Glock for so long. I just abandoned it, dude. I just abandoned my Glock. Like I felt like every time I went to the range, like my Glock was crying, like pick me up.
Man, I don't think the Glock suffers at all from any neglect whatsoever. Considering all the fanboys out there for Glock, they'll be fine, man.
Yeah.
So what actually made you go away from the Glock? Because for a lot of people, they hear you got into it because you had somebody who was a state trooper, and that's kind of how you got introduced into Glocks, so to speak. But if everything was going so well with it, why even bother entertaining a different gun? I think a lot of people have a problem understanding that.
You know what? One of my buddies took me to the range, man. I went to the Frisco Gun Club.
Yeah.
He had just brought that VP9, and he asked me, "Did I want to shoot?" And I was like, "I mean, of course. Like, it's a gun. I want to shoot it." So my first round, man, I just fell in love, dude, with just how that gun was fitting in my hand. The trigger pull on it, the sights. It was like it was made in heaven for me. Yeah. That's how I felt like when I shot that first round of that gun, and then the day after, man, I went and purchased one. Gotcha. It just went from there. So,
I mean, I think I grew up forcing my hand to love the way the Glock feels, but the VP9. I was actually a fan of the P30 way before I was a fan of the VP9.
Right.
The problem I had with the VP9, though, I mean, not the VP9, but the P30, was it had a horrible trigger. And so when they went to the striker fire on the VP9, I was kind of like, okay. But ironically enough, both of my car guns, the guns that I keep in my vehicles, it's a P30 and a P30 SK.
Yeah. That was the thing about that VP9 too, dude. After I shot it that day and when I got it the next day, the price that I paid for it, the things that it came with, I think it came with 2 extra magazines, interchangeable back straps that you can switch out, glow-in-the-dark sights that came on it. Striker fight with trigger, man. So it was just, to me, the price I paid for a gun is just basically stock. like it's not like you really have to add anything to that weapon for it to come out and really be performed at a high level. So man, when I saw the price for it, and actually when I had a chance to shoot it before, I was like, dude, I'm all in with it. I'm all in with it.
So when you go to the range, what type of shooting do you do the most? Are you mainly doing rifle, handgun? What is it? Do you just?
I typically start off with just handgun, just basics, just getting in front of the target about 10 yards out, man. Just practicing on my technique, trigger squeeze, just lining up my sights, getting on target. Then typically I kind of move with doing some handgun drills and moving and shooting. And then I try to switch over and go into my rifle. My whole thing is coming from that football element of training with my heart rate up. I try to train the same as well when I'm shooting.
Yeah.
Getting my heart rate up, learning how to think, and also not think, but just be safe with my weapon as I'm firing those rounds off. So I start off with the pistol. I transitioned over to the rifle. Lately, what I've been doing too, man, I've been doing a bunch of work with my shotgun too.
Really?
I've been working with my shotgun, yeah.
What's funny about that? I don't, for whatever reason that is probably that's one of the platforms I neglect the most is a shotgun. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. Because when I actually do get it out and I start shooting it, I'm like, I kind of really like this. But my mind just doesn't go shotgun. Even when I start talking about things like self-defense, a lot of people are really big on like, what are you running right now as far as your home defense setup?
I got an 870, man. Just actually a used 870.
Yeah.
I just threw a tack light on the side. I threw the saddle straps, the Velcro saddle straps on the side of it. So basically just the 870, man. I feel like you never can go wrong.
See, and so for me, I have nothing set up in my house whatsoever that for my home defense. But like, a shotgun doesn't play any part whatsoever in my home defense setup. I've always, I just either go rifle or I go handgun for whatever reason. I don't know.
And you know what, dude? Like I was like that for a long period of time. What really got me into doing more work with the shotgun, last year I went to a Chris Costa course down in Bastrop, Texas, and it was a 1-day pistol, 2-day shotgun course. So that was
the one I was supposed to go with you.
Yeah, the one you were supposed to go with you. Yeah. But that's another day. We can talk about that one. But man, that was interesting, dude, because the pistol was just like your basic things with just pistol. But the shotgun was different when you get into combat loading, especially with 870. Like if I got a bird in and I want to get a slug in, and just that was a whole different dynamic of shooting. And teaching you just how bucks travel and slugs travel. Yeah. It was just a different ball game.
I never really thought about, until recently, taking a class actually for shotguns. I think a lot of people don't even realize there are like actual courses that you can take for combat shotgun.
Yes.
And it's something I always wanted to do. Clearly, I was supposed to go to that class with you. So what was the one thing that you really took? And I know you just got to kind of touched on it a little bit about just understanding the different loads and running the combat load on a shotgun is going to be a lot different than doing a mag change on, say, like an AR-15 or doing a mag change on a handgun. What is that? Is that what kind of swayed you to change over to the shotgun for your home defense setup, or was it always like that and you took the course to kind of get better at it?
It was always like that. It was always like that because typically, when people buy shotguns, man, it's just like your boom, dude. That's it. Pretty much. Yeah. But having it, I'm looking at it like if I have this tool in my house, right, like. I need to learn how to be a lot more fluent with it and learn how to really use it. Yeah. So when looking at that shotgun, I feel like sometimes we kind of abandon that by just going to the pistol and the rifle. So when I heard about the shotgun, especially with Costa teaching it, I knew it would be a lot of good information I would take from that class, and it was, man. And not only that, but at the end of the day, dude, my fingertips were hurting from loading all those rounds. So it's like one of those things, right? You got something in your closet, you kind of put it away and say, "Oh, I get to it." Yeah. But you look at it like, I need to use that. I need to take advantage of it and learn how to work this weapon, and learn how to load it in different ways. Yeah. And that was something that really caught my interest about that shotgun course.
Well, look, I promise you, next time. I'm good for it. The shotgun course, I'm good for it.
I know you is, man.
I made a valiant effort last time, but I'm telling you, I'm gonna make sure nothing comes up in between that. But stick around. Coming up next, Egan's gonna hang out a little bit more. Later on after that, we're gonna talk about Prop 63 and the limits that it places on gun owners, and we'll be back.